Hey, here to do a quick walkthrough as quick as possible of Stellaris. Pretty big game. There's a lot of things going on, but just want to go through all the UI and show you what all the numbers mean and why they're important. So Stellaris is a space civilization building game. Unlike some of the other Paradox games, the point of it isn't necessarily to paint the map in your color. Diplomacy and building federations can be pretty important because the ultimate goal is to overcome the endgame crisis. So the game has a number of endgame crises that'll throw at you and the entire galaxy, and you need to stop, for example, some extra dimensional space monsters from taking over the whole galaxy and destroying everyone. So sometimes you can overcome that by becoming super powerful yourself, or by creating a coalition of other governments and stuff and civilizations to combat it as a group. So one of the things you'll do before you even get into this screen and get into the game is create a civilization. Top left here, you can kind of pop this down and see a little bit about the civilization you're playing. I'm playing a criminal syndicate, which is a corporation government type. There's all kinds of stuff. You can be a democracy, you can be a monarchy, you could be machines or a hive mind, stuff like that. It's a lot of cool things. There's a lot of things that are viable in my opinion. Certainly is probably something that's more optimal, but there's some really cool things you can do in this game, and they really make different kind of play styles viable in my opinion. Only thing really here that might be important is it will show you a lot of modifiers. I don't really spend a lot of time in the screen at all. There is one point in the game, I believe it's from Tech, that will give you an option to get a free government reform, which will let you add another one of these guys in here for free. Right now I can't add any because I've spent my 2 points, but it'll give you an extra point so you can add one. Alright, so we're going to go through the UI. I said, first things first, energy credits. Energy credits are your main, it's basically money in this game. Now, energy credits, you will spend those for ship maintenance, for station maintenance, building maintenance, and also leaders and leader maintenance. This, if you hover over it, actually has a pretty good breakdown of what is consuming your energy credits and where you're getting it from. You don't really want to go negative on this, otherwise you'll start losing ships and things like that because you don't have enough money to pay for them. Next thing, minerals. Minerals are used to build mining platforms. All these planets here have platforms that you can build on. You see I've got, they're green, that means I've already built them. So you can use minerals to build things on all these different planets. Not all planets obviously are colonizable, so you get resources from the rest of them. The other thing you use minerals is you convert them into other resources, namely consumer goods and alloys. So those will be pretty important to convert into other things. Food. If you're an organic species, you need food to feed your population. Pretty straightforward. There's not a lot you do with food, but you want to have that so your population stay happy and don't revolt against you, because that would be bad. Consumer goods. Consumer goods also will get consumed by your pops to make them happy. You can get these from consumer good factories. And yeah, I think that's really not a whole lot of consumer goods. They're pretty important, but you don't use them for a ton. There's a couple of edicts that take them, and some decisions that take them, I think. But that's pretty much it. Alloys. Alloys are actually super important because this is how you build ships and star bases, and actually they're just really hard to get because you need alloy factories, and those convert minerals to alloys, and they take up building slots on your planets. So like it becomes really valuable. Here we got influence. So influence, use this really important resource. Use this to establish claims or build star bases on new planets. This costs your influence resource, and also influence is really important for many edicts that you get over here. It all counts influence points. You get influence by appeasing factions. There's a number of factions that will spawn, and by keeping them happy, you get more influence. The other way to get influence is by rivaling, creating a rivalry of of other civilizations. So here you can declare a rivalry, and if you do so, you get, I believe, a half influence point for every rival you have. I don't think you can have unlimited rivals. You can only have a few, but a good way to get influence. Next one is unity. Unity is pretty important, and it's the only way you can unlock traditions. Traditions are these special tech groups here that give you big bonuses. And while we're here, I might as well explain it. You unlock one of these, click this dot button, you get an initial adoption effect. In this case, you get food consumption reduction, and then you get additional effects by unlocking each one of these. And when you complete the whole thing, like I've done in Discovery, you get a finisher effect. In this case, for Discovery, you get 10% research speed, and for all of these, you get one Ascension perk. Ascension perks are really powerful ways to boost your civilization and also customize your game, and really kind of how you want to play this game. So do not sleep on Unity. You get Unity from a couple buildings. Let's see what exactly building that is. That is the... I have a very good example. Anyways, there's culture buildings here. I can't replace these because I guess I don't have any money or something. Oh, I'm not even on my own. Am I on my own? Yeah, I'm not. I'm on this other guy's planet. Okay, I'm on my own planet now. And, yeah, culture sites. Everyone has some sort of approximation to this. This one's for corporate ones. This is because they give me a couple other things, but you can see the job base reduction, base production gives you unity. So build these guys on all your planets, and you'll be pumping out a lot of unity. There's some traits for species as well that will increase unity if you're like spiritualist affiliation to. That will give you some more unity. So, yeah, do with that what you will. Here, just got a breakdown of your research. It adds all of these up for your research number total, but each type of research is actually individual. So physics, society, and engineering research are all individual numbers. You get this from various research labs you can build on different kinds of planets. And these will give you more research, but also in your planet you can build research labs as well. And this will create researcher jobs. Here we got a breakdown of some of the more rare resources. These will let you build more powerful ship components. Sometimes you need these to as upkeep for better buildings. I believe if you upgrade, for example, the research lab we were just talking about, I believe you need exotic gas as an upkeep to maintain those upgraded research labs. So yeah, you can use all of these. There are also in edicts, again, there's a bunch of different modifiers that you can get by spending those resources. So later in the game, when you have a lot of these, it'd be really good to give you that boost and edge you need in like a combat situation. Empire Sprawl. So This number on the left is your Empire Sprawl. The second number is your administrative capacity. This is sort of a slowdown mechanic that limits the effectiveness of having a lot of planets. So if every percent you go over, or every number you go over, your administrative capacity increases your costs. It'll increase your tech costs, it's going to increase your influence costs, it'll increase your tradition costs, so all these things get increased. It will never make it impossible, though, for you to buy something, because generally speaking, you're actually gaining more resources, then this is going to slow you down. But it's going to it kind of represents a large empire, and the bureaucracy is a bit clumsy. That's kind of what this number represents. On the other side, if you say under that number, you're working at peak capacity. There's no negative modifiers. So if you say under this, it's kind of supposed to be, I think, a little bit of encouragement for people who want to play tall, which is smaller civilization, but like high tech and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of downside, upside to keeping under this capacity, but generally speaking, like if you're playing a genocidal empire, like you just blow past this, it's not going to really matter for you. Envoys here are a new thing in the Federation's DLC. They let you improve relations with other empires. So you can go in here and go into the deployment screen. You can improve relations, harm relations with anyone, and that will just do over time modifier on your relations with different species. Next one, empire population. Nothing too crazy here. Just shows you how many pops you have. Starbase capacity. Okay. So technically, everything you open here that's kind of named weird is actually a starbase. It has in parentheses that's an outpost, so it's not really a starbase yet. So all of these things, to take a system, you have to get a starbase. That won't count towards your starbase capacity. It's only when you upgrade that starbase into a starport. Or beyond. If I upgrade starport to Starhold, it still only counts as one capacity. So you can't just build a bunch of these starports, just go quickly. Like you can, modify these to have shipyards and stuff like that for your empire. So they're pretty important, and also like really good in like defensive positions. Okay, next one is Naval Capacity. We got the number on the left is the number you currently have in your navy, and the number on the right is the total you can have in your navy. There's two numbers to worry about when it comes to capacity with your fleets. This one is all ships in your empire, military ships that is, in your empire. There's another number I'll show you on the military fleet itself. This is the fleet size. So your total capacity may exceed your fleet size. However, you can't have more ships in a fleet than exceed your fleet capacity. So it actually kind of forces you to have multiple fleets at certain points, because you can't have 100 ships in one fleet. Your fleet capacity or your fleet size is only like 30. And your total capacity is say 100, you'll have to have like 3 or 4 fleets to meet that number if you want to max it out. Okay, so those are all the top level stuff. Also, I guess probably there's a pause button here. You can turn this on and off, move things forward, speed things up. Alright, first I'll probably go a little bit into just this, the map and what that does. So you spend most of your game out here in Galaxy View. This is because there's a lot going on, and it's not really all that important that you drill down into things all that often. Early in the game, you might drill down into your first starting area. If you don't have enough minerals just to build all of the mining and research posts all at once, you might want to go in here and you can micro a little bit of like where you want to build stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be out here. Oh, and selecting planets, you have to do a lot. Often do that from here if you want to. So, a couple of reasons why you might do this, but you're going to star bases too. But and combat you'll be zoomed in. But anyways, out here is where all the action happens. Really, important things here are. I'm going to just show you how to build things and queue up orders. So here I have my construction ship selected. I select it usually on the outlier when possible, but sometimes I'll click on here and select the ship. So in order to do anything with your ship, you want to select your ship. You can see it's selected here in the bottom left. I'll right click on something and I will click the order that I want to do. So now this order will actually make it so that it builds all the available mining stations that it wants. And I mentioned earlier, like, if you don't have enough money, maybe you want to prioritize certain ones over the other instead of waiting for you to have the total amount you need. And if you want to do that, you just kind of come in here and then right click on things and just do these one at a time. The important thing to note is when you're at the full screen, right click on here and you can hold down the shift button and you can queue up orders. So I'm right clicked, I got my guy selected, right clicking, I'm holding down a shift key, I'm going to do build mining station, and then I'm still holding down a shift key and I'm going to do build research station. So now we'll do all of these. Once it's done, I'll come over here and build all these guys. This is also true for science ships. Science ships you use to explore the galaxy and do research missions and discover anomalies and look into those more. Really important part of the game, especially early on. If you want to queue things up, same deal. Right click on this. Survey system's the one you want, not explore system most of the time. So if you want to early on, in this case I have automatic exploration enabled, you get this from tech, but you can queue these guys up. So I'm going to right click survey system, hold down shift again, right click survey system, and I can set up a whole sort of optimal path for them to go for their surveys. So that's how that works. Outliner here, I've used it a few times here. Just helpful information as you might need. Shipyards will show you anywhere you have a actual shipyard built. Starbases or other kinds of upgraded starbases. In this case, I want it to be a trade hub. So they don't have shipyards on them. They're just used for trading and other things. You got your military fleets, pretty straightforward. Civilian ships and factions all at the bottom. There might be some other different things, like I got branch offices here because I'm a corporation, so it's showing all of my branch offices that are open. Alright, let us go through this menu then. First one, we got contacts. It's an easy way if you don't want to look on the map to see a list of all the players and different groups on the board, the map. So you can go here, you can go into the diplomacy menu. Said before, all invaders can improve harm relations. You can use trade deals. Giving them goods for nothing in return will give you extra favor with them and improve your relationship. There's a couple things you can do here too in the UI. Is you can hold down the shift and control key to give you different amounts. I believe control here gives you 10 at a time and the shift key gives you 100 at the time, so that can help you go through it pretty quickly. You see here what their attitude is toward you and a little bit comparison here between your civ and theirs. The other thing to note here, if you discover some of these neutral factions, like the Curator Order, you definitely want to go talk to them because they have some really good abilities that can give you. This guy, for example, the Curator, they will have a thing that you can buy for research aid, which gives you 10% extra research speed, which is really good. And eventually, if you do this enough times, you build up favor with them, and they'll give you like really good researcher as well. Situation log. This is just kind of your quest log. Keeps track of everything. Shows you where you're at. You can press the button here to go to the things you need to go explore. Could be helpful. Market. Okay, there's you can get the market here from the sidebar, or you can actually just click on any of these main resources at the top. It'll take you here. From here, you can buy and sell various resources for energy credits. So I could buy some minerals if I need, or I could sell them if I need some money or need to switch minerals into, say, consumer goods and get more of those. Pretty useful. There's also a slave market here if you're playing with slaves, so you can buy and sell slaves on the market if you need more pops. The other thing that's important here is you can set up automatic trades. So this is a monthly trade. Every month it's going to execute this. So pretty easy. You can click buy, click on the resource you want, click how much you want, and add it, and that will give you whatever your order is. Pretty simple. The other thing you can do obviously is sell. You can also sell these on a monthly basis. So if I've got a huge glut of minerals or like a huge mineral production, maybe I want to sell some of that to keep my energy credits up. I often too don't really build a lot of food facilities because they kind of just take up space. So I'm often buying food from the market so that I can have more space for ally factories and things like that. Planet sectors, do not use the screen much at all. There's kind of a way for you to set up different sectors and governors and then automate everything, and you can give them resources from your overall pool so that they have enough money and stuff to build things on their own. It's a little bit of an obtuse screen. Like I said, I usually like microing things on my own, so I don't use this very often, but maybe in some larger maps it would become useful. I don't know. Expansion planner shows you all the planets you can colonize. You click here, filter it only ones you are colonizable, and just an easy way to look at all the planets instead of having to click on every one from the screen here. You can just send a colonizer just by clicking right on here. Choose the species you want to use to colonize. Left click on that, and it will build this ship and send it right there and start getting the colonization process underway. Policies is actually super important. They're going to really let you customize your civilization and kind of how you want to play the game. There's some important ones that put in here. Food policy, if you change to nutritional plentitude, it increases your food upkeep, but it's also going to increase your happiness and your pop growth speed, which can be really important. So you probably want to do that. In most games I do that. Economic policy, you can kind of do what you need here. In this case, I chose civilian economy because I wanted more consumer goods at the cost of alloys, but you can just keep it standard, or maybe you want more alloys instead of consumer goods. Trade policy is also important. For every trade good you get, you can convert that to just energy credits with wealth creation. It goes right there. You can get consumer benefits. Will give you 0.5 credits and 2.5 consumer goods, but you kind of lose a little bit there. Or you can actually convert it to unity. It's another way to gain unity. There's a couple options here about robots and slavery and purges and all this other fun stuff, so you can play around with it and have some fun. Next here, we kind of clicked on policies a couple times, but these are really good ways to give yourself some boosts. There's various different costs. Number one thing I'd say early on in the game is probably want to get Map of the Stars, because that's going to help you explore more. It's going to give you a higher chance to find anomalies, and when you find anomalies, it usually makes your discoveries and your systems better. So really important to get that, because you want to have a good starting area. Traditions, relics. We looked at the traditions already, explained that. The other part of this is relics. You get relics here. This is from the I don't remember the name of it. One of the DLCs though adds archaeology. There's a couple archaeology sites. I just clicked on here. You can go through, use your science vessels to explore it, and they'll take you through some cool little stories. And at the end of it, there's a chance you might get a relic. So I got this relic at the end of a chain, and this guy's pretty cool. It gives you reduce passive effect and an active effect. Passive effect gives you reduced amenity usage. Active effect gives you increased combat power, so that's pretty cool. It costs influence to activate it, and then it will tell you how long it's activated for. You can also spend these artifacts over here on various other boosts as you so choose. Like you can just spend one to gain 500 credits. Could be pretty useful. Ship designer. Okay, first game is going to have this auto-generate ship designs on. You might want to keep that on the first couple of games because there's a lot going on here, and it's just something less to think about. But you know what? I like building my own ships, so I turn this button off, and I can click here on a new design, and then you can design a ship. So I'm designing a Corvette here. You have to choose a section, what kind of section you want, up to you, and depends on kind of what your texts are. Then to add components to it, you click on the component. It will show you a list of components you have available. Click and drag them. Click, drag. And you'll see there's some numbers over here changing every time I add something to it. First it's going to tell you how long it's going to take to build. It's going to tell you what your upkeep is. And it's going to tell you how much it costs to build. Power here. Power is controlled by your reactor. It's another one of your components. You can choose which one you want, and it's going to give you a certain amount of power. Pretty important. Hyperdrive will increase the speed in which you jump from system to system. Eventually you can upgrade this all the way to have jump drives, so it doesn't actually have to follow the hyperspace lanes that you see here. You can actually jump just from here to there in one go. Thrusters increase your sublight speed, so that can be important in combat. If you're like, in the system and your ships are over here, it will increase the speed that they get from here to there if they're chasing someone down. So pretty cool. Radar, pretty self-explanatory, helps with some detection, not all that important at the end of the day. Combat computers are really cool. This will give you different bonuses, but also as you get more advanced combat computers, it will let you set the range at which they engage. So you can actually have these corvettes, these guys are a swarm computer, they'll get as close as possible and attack at really close range. Then you might have some destroyers at the next level, and you will give them a picket computer, and that will tell them to stay about 30 distance away and then fire their weapons. So they kind of provide a shield too. Maybe you've got some cruisers or battleships that you set to artillery computer, and those guys fight from 80-90 distance away and stay away from the main scrum with all your corvettes. And so you can kind of build battle lines using these technologies. You can kind of mix and match some stuff and make it kind of cool. Play around with it, have some fun, make cool little fleets. When you're done, you just gotta give it a name, and then you press save button. I also usually use this auto upgrade, so if I get a better blue laser, it will automatically throw it on here for upgrades and building new corvettes, so they're the best of the best. The one thing to note, defense platforms, you can build these at star bases. You can also customize those however you want. Okay, technology. Technology, one of probably, if not the most important part of the game. This will get you from your base to having like huge ring rolls and stuff like that. So there's three different groups as we look to up here. You've got the physics, society, and engineering. For each of these, you need to assign a leader. Each leader has certain specialities. In this case, Bonnie over here, he's a computing expert. And because I'm doing applied quantum physics research, which is a computing tech, I actually get a research projects progress bonus. So I get a 15% extra bonus because I have this. So actually, it can be really important to mix and match your leaders so that you're getting maximum, you know, progress towards your tech research. There's a couple of ones that are more generic, like this guy just always has 5% no matter what the tech is. Same with this guy. There's a genius one that gives you 10%. Robotic assistants give you some extra ones. But so sometimes they can be just as good as mixing and matching. But remember, every leader you have, one, to hire them, it's going to cost energy credits, and two, to have them just sitting around doing nothing, there's an upkeep expense as well. So you kind of have to figure out what the balance is between having a lot of leaders you can slot in here for the appropriate research and just having more generalists around. So worth noting too, all your leaders have skill levels. This gives them, you get experience over time, and the skill level will increase their research speed. So having a better, higher level researcher will give you a whole bunch of extra research speed. And you can see here what the breakdowns are and why they all matter. Each one of these you get, you can choose from a set number, and these are always randomized. To some degree, like there's a tech tree that you have to work your way through, but like it will randomize of the available techs you have. It'll give you 3 to start. Eventually, you can get more of these to show up, so you have more options. So you got to choose through some of these. It's kind of interesting because some games you might not get a tech that you're kind of hoping to get, so you kind of have to improvise a little bit based on what tech's available to you. You can look up some tech trees though online to get a better idea. Factions, we talked through these pretty quickly, but to make these guys happy so they give you influence, look over here on their issues. By making these guys happy by solving their issues, they're going to get more approval. The more approval they have, the more influence you get from them. Oftentimes they want you to set certain policies over here to make them happy. So like those guys wanted me to not restrict or restrict movement, so I got to change my border or something like that. So pay attention to those guys. You don't interact with them a ton. There's some manage faction buttons. I almost have never used these, and when I do, they don't ever really seem to do anything, so I kind of just leave them be. Claims. Okay. You can start claims against other empires, which will give you a casus belli against them, so you can go to war and go take all their stuff. To start claims, go to this menu. I can't claim anything because my war philosophy doesn't let me do anything but defensive wars, but essentially what you would do is click here. It would add it to your claim list. Click there, as many as you want. And as long as you have enough influence to purchase those claims, click this button. The claims are all yours, and now you can go do some war. Species. Species tab's pretty interesting. You can have a lot of fun here. This just tells you this is going to be a list, and this is going to expand as the game goes on. You get different species in your empire as you take people over, or they migrate towards you, or maybe you start producing robots. So you'll have a different list here. There's default rates that are applied to everyone, and you can set rates of species on an individual level. So you can go in here and you can play around with this. Living standards is probably an important one that you want to set. So this, like for example, Utopian Abundance gives you like a ton of extra happiness, but it costs more consumer goods. So it's just early on, consumer goods equal happiness. You can set military service, stuff like that. So you might just because if you have a ton of pops, you may not want to have to set this for every single new thing you get in here as you try to like colonize. You got to choose from on the list. Like maybe you just want to set like, hey, like no one else can colonize. It's only our main species, stuff like that. You can also do migration controls to like keep, say if you take over someone else's planets and you don't want any of their pops on your planets, like you can make sure they can't move between anything. The last one here is you got leaders. You can hire leaders by clicking on this recruit button and hire all of these guys here. They all get different abilities. The other thing to note is their age. The older they are, the more likely they are to die. So usually getting younger leaders, if all things being equal, are going to be a better bet for you. Said like every leader you have is going to cost you energy credits, so pick wisely. Governors go into your planets and your sectors. Admirals go for your ships. You can see I have an admiral here. And finally, you get generals. Generals go to armies, and these are kind of a weird little thing that aren't particularly obvious. If you go to your planet, there's an armies tab here, and you can create armies. And you can assign a general to that army. And in order to actually take over a planet or anything, you need to build an armies. You have to defeat their fleet inside the planet's system, and then you have to land your army there and defeat the enemy garrison. So it's a little bit of a convoluted system, but like that's how it works. I think we have covered most of everything. Galactic Community is a new thing. I can't tell you a whole lot about this as I'm just starting to learn it myself. But basically you get to vote on different proposals to influence like different galaxy-wide modifiers and stuff like that. There's some different map modes over here that might be useful to you. Trade routes can sometimes be a pretty useful node here because it will show you how things get traded and make sure all the stuff gets picked up. Sometimes there's a little notification up here that will tell you, oh, your trade route's broken, and you might be able to see why it's broken. That is pretty much it. Oh yeah, well, thanks for following. I hope I covered mostly everything here. Have fun playing Stellaris, and good luck.